today's topic: intimacy without intercourse. Sometimes sex is just not possible or necessary, and it could be because of health issues, stress, it can be illness. All types of sort of things can make that where it's not possible to do it, but necessarily sometimes it's not even any of those reasons. It's just because you need to move beyond that. Intimacy is about closeness, maintaining relationship, bonding. It's an essential part of your relationship, and it's very important. Experts say there are about four different types of intimacy. There's physical, emotional, intellectual, and digital. For example, physical. Touching. Sometimes people only touch when they're ready to have sex. And that can make, usually, the woman feel a little like used or anything. So you should practice touching throughout the day. Little soft things here, hugging, holding hands, things like that are key. Then you can find moments where you can create more intrusive touching or more erotic touching, like massages, or like if we're watching a movie, hey, you want a hand massage? Or hey, do you want me to massage your feet? Hey, you want me to rub your shoulders? Touching. That's good touching. It's erotic touching. And it kind of leads you to finding potential spots on your body that you didn't know that aroused you. It also might light up some erogenous zones. During this touching, you find out what you like and what you do not like. And with that, you communicate that to your partner, like, hey, I really didn't like that, or hey, and that is a part of growing in the intimacy section in the physical. Trying to have outer course instead of inner course. So finding things that stimulate you outside the body, not inside us, helps you maintain closeness and builds intimacy. Also, like holding hands, that's something key, and that makes people feel lovey. And sometimes it seems weird, but it's also, you have to remember, like, it's kind of like newly dating. Just keep reminding yourself you did that when you were dating that person. Hold their hand now. Emotional intimacy. That is something on another level where you start to share thoughts, dreams, goals, fears, and you talk about things. I like on This Is Us, Randall and Beth play the worst case scenario game, and it kind of lets them openly, without judgment, say what they feel in that moment or about something, and it's worst case scenario, and you can't judge. That opens up emotional intimacy because you're being able to share with somebody and not feeling like, oh my God, what are they going to say? What are they going to think about my thoughts? Key to sharing is confidence. If you have confidence, you have no problem sharing. And that comes with higher self-esteem. If you struggle with low self-esteem, that's something that you should take a step back and start working on. And counseling and there's all kinds of different avenues. Confidence makes it easier to express yourself. But if you lack that, that can affect the intimacy in your relationship with your partner, because then you're not confident to share your worst fears, your dreams, your ambitions, and everything. So you kind of hinder the relationship a little bit. So think about that. So pay attention, because every time we share our feelings, we're looking and watching the response of the other person. And if that response is understanding, compassionate, empathetic, then we feel more confident to share. But if that response is like, why, or why do you feel like that? Then we retreat, and then we don't want to share. So make sure that when your partner is sharing with you and trying to be intimate and create and build the intimacy, that you stay in a mindful thought process. And mindfulness is staying present, not thinking about anything but what that person is talking about at that moment and what it can affect in that moment. Then we have intellectual intimacy. This one I like. I love to have conversation and banter, and just even sometimes wondering what that person's thoughts are on a particular subject, and if we have different views, why, and trying to understand why that person feels that way. The coolest thing is that you can do things like watch interviews together, anything, but it'll create conversation for you and your partner to have. There also is a game called, I think, My Intent, and it's cards where you can ask each other questions and go deeper. And I think also the Red Table Talk just came out with it also. For example, women sitting down and asking, hey, teach me football. Like, help me understand so I can watch it with you and enjoy it. Or men, like, hey, you know when you bake that thing, can you show me that? Because, like, if you're not here one day and I get hungry, can I bake it? Let's do that together. And not necessarily even baking, but even getting into maybe a person's favorite show and saying, hey, why do you like this? What is so interesting about it? Let's talk about it. Do you relate to any of the characters or anything? There's lots of things that people can talk about. Don't limit yourself. Digital intimacy. This can be so confusing because as you are doing online dating, Instagram, Facebook, you're going back and forth and you're talking. And I know people that have talked to some of my friends and they're like, oh my God, I'm so in love with you. You're so beautiful. And my friends are like, you don't even know me. And it's like when you meet that person, then it's all awkward. And that comes to being able to have good discernment. Also, but not letting digital intimacy confuse that you also need physical and emotional and intellectual intimacy also to kind of bond those all together. If you come from my era, we were passing notes, talking on the phone, three-way, star 67, star 69. We had that. So there are certain generations that know the difference between that, but making sure that you don't cross the lines and overdo digital intimacy so then you're not disappointed. Real versus fake intimacy. Do you know the difference? Can you spot the difference? Sometimes I think that people get so caught up with not being themselves that when things start to come out about their true intentions or their true passions or their biggest dreams and fears, people are like, who are you? Who is this person? And you're like, this is who I always am. But you never let that person in to know that. So maybe you guys are not as compatible as you think you are. So being mindful of making that the first thing that you discuss. And remember, intimacy is not a destination. It's a journey and it's a process. So pack your bags and go for the ride.